I was on a cycle, so I used to cycle to my job in Canary Wharf, and I passed a little old shop. And I looked into the dusty old shop and I found a map, and that map had the 26 disused tube stations under London. And I thought, an opportunity. It's almost like that map was calling to me and waiting for me to turn up and have my break from the cycle on the way to work.
So what did you decide to do?
When I found that map, and I sat there for a few minutes, I realized that I didn't want to work in Canary Wharf anymore, in the field of finance, and I cycled home, took out some marker pens, and I started drawing on my apartment walls. And what I did was I drew the business plan. Now, I know money and I know business plans, but this was mine. I loved it, I was creating it, and I spent a good full 5 hours creating that plan. And as you can imagine, my wife came home to find I'd drawn all over the apartment walls. But what she did recognize, being a Swiss financier, is the numbers made really good sense.
So what do the numbers say? What is the plan?
So the numbers say that with 26 stations being turned into multi-purpose venues under London, over the 60-year leases, they make just under £4 billion. I designed a way to give a lot of this money back to London and for my company to exit very early at a smaller number. But because tourism is such a big thing in London, what I really created was the future of tourism in London with an asset that only London has. San Francisco has Alcatraz. London has the oldest disused tube stations in the world. And imagine taking your family down into those sites and seeing what's down there.
So tell me, you took this to Transport for London and you took it to Boris Johnson, and I believe you even took it to number 10. What happened then?
Well, I presented the plan to Boris Johnson in City Hall, and his first sentence was, "We don't need to look at your plan, we think you have something here." He then gave me exclusive access and my teams to all 26 sites that we had ventured around. I hired Mace, who built the Shard, to verify my numbers and say they could build the sites. It's a very exciting time. I was then invited into number 10 to meet with the Prime Minister, Cameron at the time, and some of those ministers to present the plan that would make £4 billion for London.
But what happened? Clearly it all went wrong.
Well, it all went wrong when I got into two of the iconic black taxis in London and took the investor around to see the 26 sites with Transport for London. We got to the third site and the investor offered me a cheque for £200 million and said they would take all the sites. Obviously, the TfL project manager sort of decided that maybe they should have the project. And it all began to collapse from that moment onwards.
I understand you've had threats.
The threats are rather disturbing for me. I mean, I'm divorced now and I only have a little dog, but I have a lot of data, valuable data. I had a call from inside Transport for London that said the sentence, "The company has taken lives before, you should be very careful."
But you're going to take this right to the court.
I am taking this all the way to the High Court. This is my life's work. London is famous for entrepreneurs, people who've made things. I made something, I'm not going to let them take it from me.
What's the message to the public here?
The message to the public in London is I made a tourist adventure that you can go and see things that have never been seen in 100 years. I call it the Indiana Jones experience. Once you come back up, you then see the London today. But if you go down to my tourist adventures, you see what London was like in the bombings, where the hidden places were in London. This tourist attraction that I have designed will change the way that tourists think of London. It will change the way that tourism works across the globe.